Welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Melody, and here are today's reports. COVID-19 swab test situation in Nay Pyi Taw. Residents in Inwa archaeological area face trouble in COVID-19 resurgence. COVID-19 resurgence causes sluggishness in Yangon vegetables market. Upgrading Yangon circular railway is nearing completion. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news for today. Union Minister for Education, Dr. Myo took part in the online discussion of AHK Myanmar, the delegation of German industry and commerce on Monday afternoon. In his discussions, the Union Minister talked about the impacts of modern technologies, such as Internet of Things, big data, artificial intelligence, and robotics on the factories and industries in replacing human workforces, and his appreciation on the research paper titled Industry 4.0 in Myanmar Leapfrogging Across Sectors and How to Overcome the Barriers, jointly conducted by the consulting company Roland Berger and the AHK Myanmar. He continued to say that although Myanmar has seen more development of digital technology, mobile communications, financial communications, e-commerce, and smart city sectors. The Ministry of Education has used the Myanmar Digital Education Platform, which is an online course for new curriculum of grade 4, 7, and 10, while providing continuous assistance for online learning, technological, vocational, and training education in the first priority in education sector. Myanmar Ministry of Education and the Embassy of India signed an agreement for provision of library materials and software in Nay Pyi Taw on Monday. Union Minister for Education, Dr. Myo Indian Ambassador Mr. Surup Kumar, Directors General and Deputy Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Education, and officials from the Embassy of India attended the signing ceremony between the Indian Ambassador and the Director General of the Basic Education Department, U Go Le Win. 3 Myanmar returnee seamen who tested positive for COVID-19 are now receiving medical treatments at the isolation ward at Gaw District People's Hospital. 2 of them, case number 747 and 748, arrived back in Myanmar on the 19th of August via South Africa. They worked on MV Koyoyo vessel. The other seamen from MT Steadfast vessel, case number 749, arrived back in Myanmar on the 17th of August via Indonesia. They were quarantined at hotels in Gaw and got their COVID-19 test results on Sunday morning. The 3 seamen are from Yangon and Bago regions. After they tested positive, ambulances transported them from their hotels to the Gaw District People's Hospital on Monday afternoon, in accordance with health guidelines set by the Ministry of Health and Sports. And I believe it's time now for our first report. Since the 21st of August, 1,000-bedded Nay Pyi Taw General Hospital has been able to run COVID-19 tests on its own, where more than 40 suspected cases can be completed in a day. As the number of domestic transmission has been on the rise once again, this hospital is also running the tests on a daily basis. Willinson will tell us the full report from Nay Pyi Taw.
Nay Pyi Taw, the capital of Myanmar, had one of the first COVID-19 infected patients in Myanmar. In this fight of COVID-19, 1,000-bedded Nay Pyi Taw General Hospital played the main role. As this hospital was unable to run a swab test initially, it had to collect the samples and send them to Yangon for further testing. When the infected cases were reported by the end of March, this hospital was reserved as the place to treat the infected patients, making the hospital prepare for the possible infected, which involved extending of ICU beds and other resources. Speaking about one of the earliest infected cases, which happened to be the patients here in this hospital, Dr. Papa, medical superintendent of 1,000-bedded Nay Pyi Taw General Hospital, said.
အဲ့တော့ဒီလိုဆောင်ရွက်လာရင်းနဲ့ကျမတို့ positive လူနာတယောက်တွေ့ပါတယ်ဒီ positive လူနာကိုတော့ကျမတို့အောင်မြင်စွာပဲ
While we were still in the process of improving the facilities in this hospital, we had the first COVID-19 case, which was case 7. We were able to treat well this, and that patient was discharged from this hospital after the test showed negative results for 2 times. Till today, we have 437 suspected patients who have gone through the test. Here we took the samples and sent those samples to NHL for further tests. But now, as we have the test kit and other equipment for swab tests, we can run the tests here in this hospital. The real time it takes to complete the test is more than 1 hour, which, unlike before, when there was no test kit available herein, so we sent the sample to Yangon for the results, which took times and consumed lots of labor. But now, as we can complete the tests here in this hospital, that it reduces the workloads, labor, time, and money.
Not only the suspected patients can complete the test here in this hospital, this hospital can also do the tests from other townships such as Lê Vây and Pimana or other hospitals from nearby Nay Pyi Taw after receiving the sample. Dr. Aung Lin is Deputy Superintendent of 1,000-bedded Nay Pyi Taw General Hospital, and he also explained more.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီကိုဗစ်ရောဂါကာကွယ်ထိန်းချုပ်ကုသရေးလုပ်ငန်းတွေမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီတဦးတယောက်ကောင်းတယ်မလို့
In this process of fighting against COVID-19 here in this hospital, we don't work individually. We use team approach in the fight. We have different experts from different fields and departments, and then we have a committee which decides what to do in the process of whole. The administration is to support the necessary things. We run everything under the guidelines of the Ministry of Health and Sports, and then for the necessary equipment, we collaborate with different respective departments.
Dr. Khai Nguyen Thuong is one of medical doctors who is specialized in genes, also spoke and said.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအခုလက်ရှိမှာဒီ COVID-19 ရောဂါကိုရှာဖွေစစ်ဆေးဖို့ဒီ genes
Since the 21st of August, we have been able to perform the tests with Gen expert. We mainly run the tests for suspected patients from in and around Nay Pyi Taw by taking samples of the droplets from the nose and throat. We can bring the results in a very short time. 4 sample tests can be run at once, which takes about more than 1 hour to 2 hours with the preparation time. So which makes it can do more than 40 sample tests in a day if we run this Gen expert for 24 hours. At first, we take samples from suspected patients where only the expert with the full equipment would collect the sample. As a second step, we store the data of the suspected patients by using triple package box, which will be unboxed by the expert in the laboratory with the full protection. All these processes also involved cleaning and disinfection of the equipment. And after getting the results, we send the data to respective officials in time.
According to the report from the officials from this hospital, there are nearly 1,000 staff here in this hospital, altogether from head to the lowest staff. There are 500 to 600 internal patients here on a daily basis, along with 900 external patients on a daily basis. In addition, all the patients also have their helpers, which make there are 4,000 to 500 people in this hospital.
That's the report on COVID-19 swab test situation in Nay Pyi Taw. The government has started anti-COVID-19 measures across the country since March at a time when the first confirmed case was found, banning on mass gathering, festivities, and religious ceremonies. Until now, people are requested to follow the COVID-19 restrictions as well. With the restrictions aimed at preventing and controlling COVID-19, all religious structures, including Srinagon Pagoda, the significant landmark of Myanmar, Murau and Inwa archaeological areas where most of the foreign tourist visits are still under closure. Mu, Ye 9, and Min Min Tun reports.
The government has started anti-COVID-19 measures across the country since March, at a time when the first confirmed case was found, banning on mass gathering, festivities, and religious ceremonies. Until now, the people are requested to follow the COVID-19 restrictions as well. With the restrictions aimed at preventing and controlling the COVID-19, all religious structures, including Shwe Takong Pagoda, the significant landmark of Myanmar, Myaw and Inwa archaeological areas where most of the foreign tourists visit are still under closure. The COVID-19 is having effects on all sectors, and the residents in Inwa archaeological area are also the same matter due to the COVID-19 resurgence. The government relaxed restrictions slowly by slowly when the situation of the COVID-19 slowed down and there were no locally transmitted cases as well. But unfortunately, in the act of hoping to reopen religious structures, the resurgence of the COVID-19 resulted in hard time rather than expected. U Teng Nai Lin, member of Inwa Shwe Sikong Pagoda Board of Trustees, said,
As all the permissions to the local worship during the pandemic have been closed, there are losses. Usually, there are the people actively coming to Inwa more or less and perform good deeds, donate money and offerings to the pagoda. 2 members of Pagoda Board of Trustees have been appointed for the pagoda, and the electric bill per month is nearly 50,000 kyats. I think things will be getting worse because the resurgence already came before the first wave is over. In the act of hoping things for better and reopening of pagodas and monasteries, the resurgence of the virus broke out in the country. The government allowed factories and industries to reopen and the gathering of 30 people, so the things would be harder than before.
In the past years, we received 400,000 kyats from the donation of the visitors to the pagoda, but now we get only 90,000 kyats from the donations. The horse carriage drivers and the people who depend on the Inwa archaeological area are facing the hard livings due to the resurgence of the COVID-19. U Tan Sin Win, horse carriage driver from Inwa border Mukwatit, said,
We are facing problems in this period of COVID-19. We have been staying at home for over 6 months. The numbers of local guests are still fewer because of the pandemic, so we are facing issues for our living. Before the pandemic, many foreign guests were visiting here, and we had daily income of 30,000 kyats from our services provided to them. But we have no income in this pandemic period. For the time being, I'm driving taxi here and there, and when I have free time, I go to pagoda for cleaning matters.
Not only the people who are living in Inwa archaeological area, but also the monks and the nuns who are doing meditation were facing the problems in shortages of rations. Daw E Tengi, the nun from Amtama Yekta Monastery, said,
As the restrictions are still in effect these days, we cannot go for seeking offering alms, and the people don't come here in our monastery. We are trying our best during the restrictions period. We have been restricted to go out for necessary alms, so we have the problems in our living. In the past, the pagodas were full of pilgrims, but now the pagodas are quiet in this chaos. We are taking care of our own as the health is the first priority.
Inwa archaeological area is situated in the confluence of Ayawadi and Mingay rivers. It is about 11 miles far from Mandalay, about 3 miles from Tadau, where the international airport is located. There are many ancient temples and pagodas and other famous religious structures in Inwa archaeological area.
That's the report on residents in Inwa archaeological area face trouble in COVID-19 resurgence. Moving on to the third report. The Yangon wholesales fruit, vegetables, and flower market located in Yangon, on which the consumers and those who are selling back in their respective retail markets Kent Rely has seen a sluggish run in its sales force for the reasons that the number of COVID-19 cases has surged to more than 100 during these days. The growers and the producers from the respective Yangon outskirt areas come to sell fruit, vegetables, and flowers in the Yangon wholesale market, and it is also a reliable market for the retailers and the consumers. For this reason, strict anti-COVID-19 measures are under implementation, by which the sellers and the buyers must abide. Zwe Men and Now Lei reports.
The Yangon wholesale fruit, vegetables, and flower market located in Yangon, on which the consumers and those who are selling back in their respective retail markets can rely, has seen a sluggish run in its sales force for the reason that the number of COVID-19 cases has surged to more than 100 during these days. The growers and the producers from the respective Yangon outskirt areas come to sell fruit, vegetables, and flowers in the Yangon wholesale market, and it is also a reliable market for the retailers and the consumers. For this reason, strict anti-COVID-19 measures are under implementation, by which the sellers and the buyers must abide. Dawson Sammo, green grocer from Tingzaya Town, said,
I sell bamboo shoot, the elephant food yarn tuber, and jangor. Before the pandemic, there were good and bad days for the sales. I earned maximum of 100,000 jats. When the days were good sale with me, when the days were bad sale with me, I earned maximum of 40,000 to 50,000 jats. Since the start of this pandemic, the sales have not been good unlike before. Normally, the sales rate is high at the weekends, but not at the weekdays. Only few customers have come as the virus infected rate has increased these days. That's all we are facing now. Over the past years, we earn maximum 1,000 jat and above, even if we started selling in the afternoon of a day. But now we earn only maximum of 50,000 jats, even though we are selling from the morning till the evening.
Such sluggish run in the sales force of the Yangon wholesale market is due to the resurgence of the COVID-19. Although the sellers place attention to the observance of COVID-19 preventive measures, there has been a decline in the number of comers to the market, and the trade becomes colder than before. Dot Tan, retailer from number 14 Ward Market of Langtaya Township, Yangon, said,
Buying is not good these days because of the rare vegetables, and the prices are also high. In the same way, the selling is not good amid COVID-19 as well. Local customers is one of the reasons of decreasing in the selling condition. I used to come here in the Yangon wholesale market because here I can see varieties of choices and the prices are reasonable. I don't buy the vegetables 2 or 3 days ahead in case they should be gone if I'm unable to sell all out. I'm buying this little by little every day. Now the prices are high and the raw is rare, so buying is not good.
The market researchers pointed out short-term and long-term plans are required to stabilize the impacts on the market and the economy, including the basic commodities, due to the occurrence of the pandemic. U Aungmin, Secretary of Market Research Association of Yangon, said,
အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်ပြောရမယ်ဆိုရှင်တော့ဒီကိုဗစ်ကကျွန်တော်ကဟိုပေါ့ရေရှည်ဖြစ်မဲ့ကိစ္စကြီးပေါ့နော်ရေရှည်ဆိုတော့အခု short term လို့အားလုံးပြင်ပြီးသွားပြီ
I have to say that COVID-19 is a long-term case, and long-term means we have prepared for the short term, like how to survive and how to make a business plan for survival in certain business. And after making a business plan, there might be a lot of effects and losses for the national support that's not enough in a country like the United States. There are a lot of necessities even if the millions of cash are supported. So a developing country like us cannot stand only by depending upon the government, but we have to find a way for the long term, like 3 or 6 months. We'll see how things will work out during this time period in 2020 and also in 2021. If so, I believe we can remedy the current crisis. I have to say that we need more cooperation between the ministries during the important time. There are committees formed by the ministry. The committee includes 4 or 5 ministries, relevant associations, and the scholars, and so that is how we could figure things out.
ပြီးလို့ရှိရင်ပညာရှင်တွေပါမယ်ဒါနဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြန်ပြီးတော့အဖြေထုတ်ရမယ်
The inflation rate of Myanmar remained 9 to 10% in every month throughout the 2019 fiscal year. Starting from April in 2020, when the COVID-19 started breaking out in the country, the prices had been dropping due to the effect on the demand and the supply. The prices in consumer goods and fuel remained lower than before, according to the official statistics conducted by the Market Research Association of Yangon by reviewing the government figures.
That's the report on COVID-19 resurgence causes sluggishness in Yangon vegetables market. Let's move on to the last report for the day. Myanmar Railways is cooperating with Japan to upgrade the roadbed, railway tracks, engineering structure, and railway signals of Yangon Circular Railway. In Yangon, almost all the transportation sectors are upgraded and the existing engines of the trains are being replaced by the rail bus engine. And some of the rail bus engine trains are running through Yangon Circular Railway and the West Part Loga.
The existing engines of trains are being replaced with rail bus engine RBE, and some of the rail bus engine RBE trains are running through Yangon Circular Railway and the West Part Loga, and upgrading Yangon Circular Railway has been almost completed. In upgrading the Yangon Circular Railway, there are 2 sections, the east part and the west part. According to Myanmar Railways MR, they are currently planning to replace train engines with RBE and upgrading the circular railway. Myanmar Railways MR is cooperating with Japan to upgrade the roadbed, railway tracks, engineering structure, and railway signals of Yangon Circular Railway. The upgrading tasks are being carried out step by step, and it is expected to be completed at the end of 2022. After upgrading tasks are completed, the frequency of trains would be increased from the current 2 per hour. Uzolwin, Deputy General Manager of Traffic, Number 7 Division of Yangon, under MR said.
RBE ကတော့သူက၄အိတ်ပဲ၄အိတ်ပါတဲ့အတွက်ဟိုလမ်းတွေလည်းခုကတော်တော်ကောင်းနေပါပြီလမ်းကောင်းနေပြီ
The roads abated now. Yangon City Circular Railway is 9-lane railway and wall advance. RBE trains are airbird trains, and it is less vibrating unlike before, so we can have a very comfortable ride. More passengers will rely on us if our services are good. Yangon City Circular Railway and Loga Railway have run 7 RBE carriage, and only 1 is left to transform. So trains that run through the Yangon Circular and the West Part Loga are RBE. But those run through Yangon Suburban, Dojongli, Yodaji are not RBE trains yet.
ဟိုကြမှာတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကရန်ကုန်နဲ့စင်ကြီးဘိုးလမ်းမိုက်ဖြစ်တဲ့ရန်ကုန်တိုးကြောင်လေးရွာသားကြီးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီလမ်းမိုက်ကတော့အခုဟိုအဘီတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးယထာတွဲဆိုင်ကြီးတွေနဲ့ပဲပြေးပေးနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်
As the upgrading tasks are being carried out, there are some difficulties concerning the drainage system in upgrading circular railway. Ujomyolwin, Assistant Manager of Traffic, Number 7 Division of Yangon, under MR said.
ဒီကလမ်းပိုင်းအစင်းမြင်တာကျွန်တော်တို့အခုလက်ရှိမှာလမ်းပိုင်းတစ်ခုလုံးနေတာပေါ့နော်တစ်ခုကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကြည့်မြင်တိုင်းဖျားလမ်းအပိုင်းပေါ့အဲ့ဒီပိုင်းကတော့
In upgrading Yangon Circular Railway, we are taking action in 2 sessions. The first one is Jimyandang to Payalan roads and tracks are about to finish, but drainage system has a lot to handle more than we have planned. We need to change the original design of drainage. Our original plan is to remove water from railway area. It is difficult to prevent water flowing into the railway from the outside through the drains. If we shed it, people nearby will be in trouble. That's why we need to change the design of drainage so that we can build a drainage which has strong water flow and larger in size. The drainage was widened by design so that the side rails have to be nailed down to prevent the side walls from collapsing, and we are currently working on that.
မြေသားနိုင်ရန်တွေမပြူအောင်ဆိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီရေးပိုင်နေရိုက်ရတယ်ဒီမြေသားတွေမြေထိန်ဖို့ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တန်လားအဟောင်းနေနဲ့လိုက်ရိုက်ရတော့အဲ့လုပ်ငန်းကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကလုပ်နေတာ
Yangon Circular Rail is the cheapest transportation in Yangon, and it is running to 40 stations with satellite towns and suburban area to the city, and it has become the local commuter rail network serving Yangon metropolitan area. Toh Yinji, resident from Changzhou, spoke to MI Radio about her experiences using Yangon Circular Railway. She said,
They changed the timetable. It's been a bit long that I haven't used the train. I come to Yangon twice a year. I never use cars because I feel fainted every time I ride in a car. Trains are cheaper than buses and it's more comfortable for me. And there are buses that arrive directly to the village I live. But taking bus is not secure for me, so I always take the train for transportation.
The Yangon Circular Railway contributed 168 circular runs a day with the use of a total of 21 trains carrying about 50,000 passengers before the COVID-19 outbreak. Currently, there are about 54 circular trains running a day with about 15,000 passengers.
That's the report on upgrading Yangon Circular Railway is nearing completion. Now to international news. Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, on Monday chaired a leadership meeting to discuss a plan for ecological protection and high-quality development of the Yellow River Basin. The meeting of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee reviewed guidelines on balancing environmental protection and economic growth of the area, which covers 9 provincial-level regions. It stressed the need to improve the ecological environment along the river and urged local governments to promote high-quality development and improve people's livelihoods. Around 2,400 people have been evacuated due to a wildfire, which is out of control and ravaging Spain's southern region of Andalusia. The blaze broke out on Thursday in the mountains near the town of El Monaster La Rio, 120 kilometers northwest of the city of Seville. State's news agency, SANA, reported 2 Syrian soldiers were killed and 7 others wounded on Monday by an Israeli missile attack that targeted military sites south of the Syrian capital, Damascus. Citing a military statement, the report said the attack was carried out from the direction of the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. It added that the Syrian air defenses intercepted most of the missiles before reaching their targets. Sana later said a civilian woman had been killed and her husband injured in the blast. Meanwhile, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights War monitors said powerful explosions were heard in the countryside of Sweida and Dara provinces in southern Syria as a result of the Israeli attack. It said another 3 non-Syrian fighters were killed. It said the Syrian air defenses were triggered by the attack. That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today. Hope everyone is staying safe.